In a world of over 8 billion people, where no life is without challenges, some individuals have not only faced adversity but have risen above it with strength and grace.
Welcome to Rise and Reflect, a YouTube series dedicated to showcasing the stories of resilient individuals who have turned their struggles into triumphs. Through their stories, we hope to ignite a spark within you.
As Nelson Mandela once said, "Do not judge me by my successes. Judge me by how many times I fell down and got back up again." This series embodies that spirit.
Join us as we explore the lives of these resilient soldiers, whose paths may not have been smooth, but who have walked them with purpose and determination.
Hi everyone, welcome again to Rise and Reflect. Today we have Keneisha Henry. So who is Keneisha and where are you from?
Hi, I'm, as I said, Keneisha. I am from Kingston, of course. But I was born first in St. Thomas and raised in Kingston. So my family would have left for greener pastures, and I'll commend them. I think the pastures were much greener because of the opportunities that I was exposed to. Keneisha is a young woman who loves to volunteer, loves to help, not only her wider community, but specifically students within her age group that I'm aging out of right now. But she's someone that's I'm someone that's passionate about STEM. I did an undergrad degree in biochemistry, and I'm currently doing a Master of Science in biomedical research. I love to travel, and that's what I found out recently. I love to fish, and that's some of who Keneisha is: a fisherwoman,
A
biochemist,
fisherwoman,
and advocate and volunteer at heart.
You said that you're phasing out of the age group. How does that feel? Because I think I've experienced that too.
It is. It feels good to be growing up. It's a little scary because I'm like, what am I gonna do with my life? And we all have that milestone in our life where we have to figure out what we're gonna do step by step from here on. And I also have to acknowledge that stuff might not work out the way it used to. In primary school, I said, okay, I'm going to high school and I'm going to college, and then I'm gonna get a master's degree. Okay, I've accomplished all that. Now what? I want the job, but what about other things that pop up? What about side quests and all that stuff? I have to figure out how to merge those into my life. And so it feels weird-ish, veering off like a script and figuring it out from this point forward.
Yes.
Especially since my script, had me as a married woman at this age.
Oh my God! Listen, I think what she's saying is so real. Because when you sit down and you're planning out your life when you're in primary school, you literally say like, okay, by 24, 25, married with kids.
And your house
and life, you just finish a degree, you're looking to do your master's at that age. You don't even have a house, which is a car. Like, adulthood does not hit you yet.
So it's a very new pasture that I'm grazing into, but I'm grazing nonetheless. The pasture is green. I just don't know what the grass tastes like,
Yeah, because you're doing well and you follow the script up to where it has taken you to, because really and truly that's where your script ends. Like when you get your bachelor's, there's nothing that can prepare you for when you get a job, and you live on hall now.
Yes, I still do.
So you're not even going to experience life yet. You see, when you move off on and you have bills to pay,
I'm dreading it.
I'm
dreading it, but I know it will happen, and I'm, looking forward to hopefully having enough money to not worry about the bills.
Yeah. For now, I guess you have food to worry about, so you have to section up that portion. Yeah, I'd say, right now you're on hall, take advantage of the opportunity, try to balance, but prepare yourself as much as you can for that period of your life.
Definitely.
Yeah. So what inspired you to pursue a career in biochemistry?
That's a good question. So initially I wanted to do marine biology. When I came out of primary school, I really loved, before even marine biology, I wanted to do paleontology, which is like the study of like dinosaur bones and stuff. And I was like, I need to zone in on Jamaica, because at that time, you're small, Jamaica is your world, right? And so I'm like, okay, marine biology would be something that Jamaica would benefit from. I decided that I wanted to do that all in high school, and then when I reached like fifth form, Mrs. Mercery looked at me and said, I think you should widen your, scope for career paths. And I was like, I get you. We had a very lengthy conversation about it, but and it really made me look inside. So she posed that to me, and it made me look inside and realize that maybe I do want to look for a different career path that can provide a solution for Jamaica. And in fourth form, when I was doing my English SBA, I would have zoned in on medical cannabis. At the time, fourth form, that was like 2016 or maybe 2017.
At fourth form, we're looking at medical cannabis. But let me just stop you there and big up Mrs. Marcia Reed, who I think she has been so impactful. Especially, I don't think I would have been where I am today if it wasn't for her intervening the way that she did. I've always wanted to be someone who would not be afraid of talking in front of people and all of that. And she saw that I had the will, but I didn't have the know-how. And I remember she said, come to me during your lunch times. And we started to do sessions. And even the conversation about, choosing the right career, choosing the right area, for a teacher who is just literally paid to teach you subjects, whatever subject area they're responsible for. She took the time out to say, all right, I'm understanding that this is what you like, this is what your passions are. Let us look at, what would fit you, what would work for you based on your skill sets and all of that. I think, a lot of us in Jamaica, most of the high achieving students that you meet upon, they will tell you that, there is a teacher who, took the time out to do more than just instilling knowledge. They instill the values, they share the resources and tools with us to put us on a different path for us to figure out life as we're living and trying to navigate now. It made a difference in our lives, and we cannot thank you enough for all that you've done. Mrs. Marcy, my best friend.
So I would have big up Miss Marcy right through, and I would have started that SBA in fourth form for English, and I realized that Jamaica is known for weed, right? We're known for recreational cannabis, but this is a booming billion-dollar industry that Jamaica should really tap into. And I was like, I played with the thought, but I never really took it seriously until I was, charged to broaden my career scope. And that's when I realized, what's the best avenue to take in Jamaica to get to a point where I can contribute to the, establishment of Jamaica in the medical marijuana field. And that's how I, thought of becoming a biochemist. And, the path was, okay, do that first degree, then do a master's degree that will help me to get into that field of research, which that's what I'm doing now. I'm doing medical cannabis and in application on sickle cell disease patients. So I'm on that path, and
that's important.
I'm following the script.
Yes. Okay, amazing. And you've helped many students get scholarships. Tell us a little bit about that.
Alright, so again, a lot of this started in high school. I would have ended my sixth form or my high school experience overall at the beginning of COVID. And, I had the good grades, I had, the experience, co-curriculars, all of that. And I was like, scholarship put on for me. But it was March. School starts out September, and I realized that no scholarship not put on for me. I have to go look for them for myself. And at that time, I had so many questions, and there weren't many people to answer the questions because a lot of persons that I knew coming from an inner city community never even went to university, never have a scholarship in their life, and so it was up to me and some of my friends to figure it out, and that we did. And while we were figuring it out, we were, passing on the knowledge in real time. So if today we find out that the Grace Kennedy Scholarship requires X, Y, and Z, we find somebody that was on the scholarship or is currently on the scholarship, we get some information from them. And, in the middle of COVID, they had Zoom and everybody was on their phones, and we just broadcasted that information. And students became attracted to that platform that we were creating, and through that we're able to not only secure scholarship for ourselves. Delmar Squire is my co-founder for All About Scholarships, which is the organization that we run to help students get scholarships. We not only secure scholarships for ourselves, full rides by the way, we helped a lot of students in that year get scholarships. And in that period where a lot of applications were paper-based and you had to submit them at offices in a pandemic, let me tell you, it was like one of the roughest times to be applying for scholarships in Jamaica. And we're so proud to say that we not only overcame in that time, but we helped other students too. And we've been doing that from 2020 to this day. And I'm proud to say that we've helped over 100 students per year to not only get grants, but scholarships, full rides, like partial scholarships, and we've walked students through that process. We're in our 4th year now, so we have students who have graduated and done and can look back and say we actually helped. And so it's something that brings me great joy, because without my scholarship, which I got from the NCB Foundation, it was a $600,000.
Big up to NCB.
Yes, it was a $600,000 scholarship, way more than I needed at the time. But in the end, it was the right amount that I needed, to live on Hall and have all the experiences that would have led me to be where I am right now. So at the time, I was like, this is way too much money, but it was just enough to get me through school, and so I'm grateful for them. And as I was saying, to this day, we're still helping students. It's something that we're really passionate about, and we've seen a lot of students finish school and look back and really just thank us for helping and pay it forward. We have a lot of students on our team who are paying it forward, and so just love.
Okay, awesome. And I want to say, Keneisha, that the work that you do through All About Scholarships, it's very important, because there are a lot of people who didn't get the opportunity to apply for a scholarship because they were not aware. You'd be surprised, like a lot of students who, when they finish 6th form, they just know they want to go to university. They don't know how. They are fully aware that their parents cannot afford it, but so they're thinking, oh, my second alternative, since parents can't afford it, is student loan. When they take the student loan, adults will tell you, like people who working now, some of them still taking the bus because they have the student loan to pay off. Can't buy a car. It really cripples you, and it makes you end up start a lot of things a little later, because you have this heavy load to unburden before you can start to get your assets and all of that. So literally, if you are watching this and you are in 5th form, 6th form, get in touch with Keneisha, start having the conversation, start making those plans, right? Unfortunately, not all of us were born with a gold spoon. I wasn't, right? And big up to Rujon Foundation for giving me a scholarship. I'll share the information with Keneisha as soon as the application call is out. And the SOS Governor General Summer of Service Scholarship competition, in my year I would have won that, and they covered 2nd and 3rd year. And so again, that's an opportunity where I did what I love to get a scholarship plus $100,000 book grant from Sandals Foundation, because in that year I was the top recipient, and they make it nice. So big up to all of those companies who pour into the Governor General's Program of Excellence, because that program has blessed a lot of students with scholarships to go to universities. And if they can't give some students full scholarship, they've given partial scholarships. They've never not given them something, right? And of course, Keneisha can tell about all the others, Carreras, Barita, NCB, as she has mentioned. The Sagicor also offers a scholarship every year. So you literally have, and unfortunately, I have heard about bursaries at UWI that go unclaimed. Students don't apply for them. So what the work that she's doing in terms of raising the awareness, it is very important. if not only for the urban area schools but rural area schools. So I'm calling out to investors now to invest in all about scholarships that they can do a tour, an all-island tour, because the rural area schools, these students need scholarship application workshops. They need workshops where all the students in sixth form just in the computer lab and they are applying, because the application process is very competitive. So again, what Keneisha does, very important in terms of the writing of the essays, the writing of the personal statements, all of that is not, you can't write a regular personal statement and expect to excel or stand out. It's a very competitive space.
They're very competitive. And the larger the scholarship, the more persons applying, and so the better your application needs to be. And I want to reiterate something that Lenika just said. If you're in fifth form, if you're in fourth form, any grade that you're in, just even though you think it might be too early to be looking for scholarships for, high school or university, it's not. It's really not. I started looking for scholarships from fifth form because I knew that I would not be able to go to university if it wasn't fully funded by, some institution. My parents couldn't afford it. And so, start looking from early, start looking at their criteria from early. And so you can join up the clubs and volunteer and all the things that they're looking for and have years of what they're looking for. And you will be one of their top candidates when it comes time for them to review your application. So it's never too early.
Yeah. And, one of the reasons why you want to prepare early is because there's a certain profile you have to get scholarships. And sometimes, you focus a lot on academics and you're doing your schoolwork but you're not participating. You probably need to have a session with Keneisha to hear about the changes you need to make to ensure that you'll be able to qualify for not only the merit-based scholarships but even scholarships that are looking at your all-roundedness. Alright? So who is your biggest inspiration?
Wow, that's a good question. I still don't have one answer. It's a group of people that I've met along the way. One of them is definitely my mom. She, of course, never went to university. After she finished high school, she went straight into motherhood, and she's just been mothering ever since for the past 40 years. And I've seen what she has accomplished despite not accomplishing what I have accomplished, and that has fueled me to do what I do and to help other people. I've seen the love that she gives to her community, and that has instilled in me love for my community. And though we express it a different way, my mom might go downtown and feed half of the homeless people, and I help her sometimes. But for me, I take it from a different angle. Helping students, whether with scholarships or in my capacity as a resident advisor and so on. So, as a Christian and just an all-round person, my mother was the number one inspiration. And as for my professional career, I'm not going to tell a lie. Lenika, and I say that because for me it's easier to find inspiration from people that you can see and know that they're real humans in the flesh. You can see people on social media and be like, oh my gosh, I want to be like that person, but you don't know what I got you. Honestly, I don't know what Link is true either, but hopefully it's good things. But
so too.
but no, I know on the surface it's good things. But I know her story and I know where she's coming from. And
we went to Queens.
Yes, we went to the same high school. Yeah. And we've had real life conversations and discussions, and to see what she has accomplished and what she's yet to accomplish, that really inspires me. Even though say not untouchable for me, and what's for me can't be on for me. And this makes me realize, I heard somebody say this earlier this week, there's so much food on my plate, but I don't have to force myself to eat it all up because I know there's more to come. There's more to come. And so let me go. And of course, some of my lecturers, Professor Lindsay, I would have had her in my undergrad years. She was a cannabis. She is, researching cannabis, for treatment. And she would have inspired me to continue going, because honestly, when I was like, oh, I want to do cannabis research in Jamaica, I went to UWI and there were not a lot of people. Oh, and Prof. McLaughlin. there are not a lot of people that were focusing on it, and with the limitations that might come up here in the country, the legalization issues and stuff like that we're still going through. It was discouraged. I was discouraged at some point, but they looking at their work, reading their articles, and seeing what they talk about all over the world has really inspired me to continue. So I think people inspire me in different aspects of my life. There's no one person, and I'm glad there's no one person.
And I like the approach that you take, because you don't have to focus on one person. You can look at different people who they've basically, like, them just got through life and they've done some significant things. They've broken barriers, and you can take a little from this person, a little from that person, and because your professors, they have done quite a lot in terms of academia, the research in the field that you want to go into, and you want to be as decorated, if not more, just a little bit better, but just to learn from the excellent work that they've put out already. Because for me, I'm so inspired by Professor Mona Weber, and I like Professor Marcera as well. She's phenomenal.
She is.
Tanisha Stevenson. Tanisha, that's the deputy dean, and Michael Taylor is very inspiring too. He's so humble. Like, oh my God, he's the dean for the faculty, and he's so accessible. He's so aware of what the students are doing. So that inspires me. Teachers from Queen's days too, like. There were a lot of teachers who were just doing their thing. I'll speak about this. There was this teacher. I don't know if you had her, Nadia Johnson. Did you have her for your Caribbean studies? No, she probably left by that time. So I remember one time when I went to her class, and she said to us that, ladies, all of you look very popped down. All of you look popped down, but you don't have to worry. Because as soon as you start to work and you get your little money and you can fix up yourself, you're going to all look better. It's gonna look terrible, but it's not gonna look better though. And it was so refreshing, that there was hope. Yeah, it's for some way. But thank you so much. I'm humbled to have been an inspiration. I do try to do things, I'm not struggling so much in life, not saying life is easy, but a lot of what life throws at you has to do with your mindset. So even if there are setbacks, I don't look at them like it's the end of the world. I literally just try to fix the problem and move on. I face disappointments just like everybody in life. I've applied for jobs and not gonna get the job. I mean, I've been to interviews, and I remember going to an interview once in my earlier days. Went to the job interview, and they asked me a question. Tell us about what you like about our company. I did not even do 1 ounce of research about these people's company. So, and you learn from these, experiences, and you get better. And these are mistakes that, if you are a good student of life, and I think that's what makes high achievers. When you have the discipline to learn and to excel in a school system, and you apply that to life, you will forever be a learner. And the mistakes that you make back then, you will continue to learn and build and grow. You have some people, believe it or not, the mistakes they've made back then is the same ones they're making today. And as you progress, I know you're in adulthood, but when you leave hall, you realize how much of what I'm saying is true. And you must see it even now, so this with the students. Because I think the hall is like a microcosm of what happens in society, like literally. Students will make the same mistakes constantly. At Rex, you guys will always lock yourself out of
That's
the
what I was
room.
thinking.
Always, like no matter what, right? And you just don't change the habits. the same people all the time, right? So yeah, those are examples. So with all the volunteering and helping students, how do you balance these commitments, specifically too, since you are an Adventist? I think that's, yeah.
Well, to be honest, it does feel like a lot, because as I said, I'm transitioning, going into different pastures, and but to be honest, I just tell myself that no matter what, I'm not bringing anything on my Sabbath, on God's Sabbath, because I've been someone who keeps the Sabbath for the past 8 years. I've been a Seventh-day Adventist for the past 8 years. So I started when I was 16, and I realized that when I, give God His time for one day out of the week. Well, I give Him His time every day, but when I especially spend that one day out of the week, I leave that day refreshed. Like on Sabbath, I come up with the best ideas for things. I feel relaxed. Like I feel refreshed. I feel reconnected to not only my friends and God, but myself as well. And through doing that for many years, I realized that even though I have a lot of wonderful opportunities come up, I can't put that in front of my beliefs. I can't put that in front of myself and that connection, because I've never really done anything on the Sabbath, but I've taken Sabbaths less seriously in some portions of my life, and I've seen where it has affected me. You see, when you have a routine that includes self-care and all of that, and I think spiritual life is a part of self-care. When you have a routine that includes that and you start to omit that portion of yourself and you neglect yourself, everything else falls apart. When you neglect your relationship with God, everything else falls apart. So even though I have a lot of things going on, I have to prioritize that, because I know that otherwise my just pop down. So how do I balance? So firstly, I figure out what I need to do, and if it needs to be done urgently, and ensure that it doesn't infringe upon, of course, what I just said, my personal time with God. And I think that's just as important as my personal time with myself. And I make sure that everything that I'm doing is something that I really want to do. If I don't want to do it, I'm not gonna put, like, I'll if I sign up for something and then afterwards I realize that this is not my calling, I will step out. I am not going to just keep doing it because it looked good, or keep doing it because it will look good in the future or whatever. Some things you really have to do tough out, but you have to weigh the pros and the cons. You have to weigh if your mental health and your overall schedule can manage it. I manage my time by prioritizing, scheduling, and I don't know, the regular time management stuff. But honestly, I just do things that I love, and once I love it, it will just fall in place. I will find time for it. People find time to do things that they love.
Awesome. I love listening to that a while ago. I feel like I want to do the Sabbath thing. I feel like I want to do
it's so refreshing.
Yeah.
I was telling my friend, because
what do you do though? Like, so it's from 6 p.m. on the Friday to 6 p.m. on Saturday. So it's like a
depending on the time of the year. So it's when the sun sets, really. So usually people just use like the summertime, but in the winter, sun might set at like 5:30, maybe a little earlier. But in the summer, it might set at like 7 or like closer to 6. So it really depends on the time of the year and where you are in the world, of course. But in Jamaica, what I usually do is I don't use social media as much. Right now, my screen time is ridiculous in the week. I'm constantly reading something for research, I'm constantly texting people, I'm a resident advisor, so my phone never rests. And so, on Sabbaths, I turn off the phone. Sometimes I like to watch YouTube in the week too, and I don't really do that as much. And I try to go out in nature. I try to go to church as often as I can too. So on Sabbath evenings, there's a thing on the campus, the UE campus, called Advent Fellowship. It's a bunch of Adventist students from all over Jamaica, all over the Caribbean, that come together and worship. So that gives me a reason to leave my phone alone, interacting, praising God, listening to music, having conversations on the Sabbath that I would normally have in the week. Like I was talking about, what does God have in store for us, and what our future partner would look like when God intervenes and stuff like that. On a regular day, I'm talking about pipettes and conical flasks and whatever. And so it's refreshing to have different conversations like that. And then on the Saturday itself of the day, go to church. We have wonderful food. And it's usually vegan food that I do have on the rest of the week because I'm not vegan. And we also spend time together out in nature, time discussing God's word. And you take a nap. Like, I don't have time in the week to take a nap in the day. I go to work, I go to school. And so, after all of that, I take a nap and I get up and I feel refreshed. I spend time with the Lord by myself too. Some Sabbaths I don't go to church, I might just stay home and sleep and reflect on the word by myself, connect with friends and catch up. And to be honest, sometimes the Sabbath is a whole lot of just not doing what you usually do in the week, and that gives your brain the room to think of really great ideas. Just be peaceful, have less screen stuff in your face, because I feel like my brain is so overwhelmed when I'm on my phone. Even if I'm just like watching a YouTube video, I'm thinking about a message that just came in and I need to reply to that message and an email and a this and a that. It's so peaceful mentally, it's so freeing. And so I don't feel like a lot of people get that enough. And to be honest, I've had portions of my life where I had a lot of anxiety, and just having the Sabbath helps me to reduce that. Imagine being anxious every day. I really don't think I could function that. And so
this is ultimate self-care, and just listening to this, I feel like, where do I sign up for this prescription?
It takes a little while.
Need a day too.
That takes a little while.
Yeah, it must be very difficult because a lot of activities usually happen on Friday evenings, and so I feel like that is when everybody decides to have their events, the training sessions, all of these things. So, boy,
I don't really feel like I'm missing out on anything, to be honest.
I don't think she's missing out either.
I don't. So the good thing is I surround myself with friends and family who do keep the Sabbath. So if we're gonna have anything, we all know that, hey, we're not gonna do certain things on specific days, and it works out fine. It works out really fine. I have a great social life. You have to surround yourself with people who have similar values, and it's good.
Yeah, I agree with that. In terms of surrounding yourself with people who can support your lifestyle, because if you don't, you will see that they are pulling you in different directions, and you might get a bit confused, or you might feel like you're being left out because imagine if Keneisha friends are out on a Friday night or a Saturday morning into the day and all of that, and she's there keeping the Sabbath and nothing else going during the week, and she's like, okay, so we're not connecting, what's happening. So
even when I lived on hall, when I was just a student, I had flatmates, and then when I go out, but what's happening on Friday nights for students is parties, and I don't really party. But like, if it's anything that has to do with like us connecting or celebrating something, I'm the only Adventist on the flat, but they're like, yeah, I come, so we're gonna make it not be on a Sabbath. And so, they respected my beliefs and they accommodated me. And I think that was
inclusive.
Yeah, good friends.
Okay, well, so if there's anyone who, I feel like a lot of people just listening to you because I was sold. I like the Sabbath idea, because keeping the Sabbath. I think even if you don't do it on the Friday into the Saturday, but if you can really take a day for yourself, because she said it, personal care is very important. I think a lot of us live very high-paced lives, and we're not taking that day, and we really need to. I try to take the Sunday. I try not to do anything on a Sunday, but I think I want to be more disciplined in terms of creating that space
and letting people know,
and having the will, the courage to say, yeah, that time will not work for me because I cut off at that time. So I think that's where we need to be taking it now. And a lot of us, we take some days and say it's family day, but at the same time, if somebody says, all right, we're going to have a meeting on that day, you're making some or other arrangements to facilitate it. What Keneisha is saying is, no, like, block out that time for God, because your relationship with God, and I've experienced it, I'm a Christian. The moment you lose connection with God, the moment you stop having those conversations with God, things just start to go south. Like, I don't know how it happens, but it just starts to go south. So literally, you have to keep grounded, and I think arranging it that way just makes it easier for you to unwind and connect with them on a personal, intimate, and a different kind of note. You understand? I think that's important. So let's talk about challenges. I shared a few challenges. Like, what kind of challenges have you experienced in life?
Well, I think my greatest challenge is internal. As I shared, I've had portions of my life where I just had a lot of anxiety. And there's a term that I can't remember right now. When you, for some reason, can't believe that you can accomplish something. What is that?
The self-doubt. It's not depression.
No, it's not depression.
You believe that you can't accomplish something.
It's imposter syndrome. Yeah.
Oh, the imposter syndrome. Okay, that's when you feel like you're not supposed to be in that space.
Mm-hmm. So I've had those things, and to be honest, even though I wasn't born with a silver spoon in my mouth and had family troubles and all that, really and truly, it's my internal struggle that really would have either pushed me or confined me to certain circumstances. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I am still growing, and I'm still changing, I'm still learning to break out of those shackles, mental slavery. But yeah, that's the main challenge. Like, I don't really care that I don't have the money. Even if I have the money, I can, find a way to get the money legally, of course. I got a scholarship. I've been to other countries. Well, one other country, not other countries. But and most of the times when I've been overseas, I've never paid, for my tickets. I've had experiences that I've never even paid for. So money, I won't even say it's something that holds me back. It's really just me, my willpower, and my drive. The imposter syndrome is something I'm constantly having to get over. I look at my younger self and I'm just like, wow, I've accomplished a lot. And I tell myself that there's so much more to accomplish. But then sometimes you always have that little thing on your shoulder that's like, you sure you can do that? And I keep having to prove it wrong. And even though I prove it wrong, it comes back. It's so annoying. But I will continue to overcome, and it's not gonna get the best of me. It hasn't yet. And so yeah, that's pretty much it. Not really, like, not externally. Not stop me from nothing. Not people, not circumstances.
And what would be your advice to students or young people, anybody who is faced with imposter syndrome?
Well, the fact is, you have a part of you that believes that you can't do it or you don't deserve to be where you are right now, means that there's a part of you that can do it. Like nothing would discourage you from doing something if there's not a possibility that you can achieve it. Like, I'm not talking about, I'm not even going to say, I'm not talking about like going to the moon or whatever. Like, if you want to go to the moon, sign up for NASA program. Look at the requirements.
Virgin is going there. Richard Branson just sent some people up to the moon.
They're stuck in space.
They are. Oh my god. You see, I only listen to the good news, and I know so them did reach.
But yeah, the fact that you have a part of you that thinks you can't do it, means you probably can't do it. Like, of course, there's a part of you that says, oh, I can't get a scholarship, but you know what? I got it anyway. And I always tell myself that voice inside of me, if you tell me something I can't do it, I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna challenge it, because really and truly, as I just said, there's nothing outside of me that challenges me. So in a way, I'm not gonna call this imposter syndrome a blessing. It's not, but it's something that I acknowledge and I'm continuously growing out of. And whenever it does come up, I take it as a challenge. I can't just sit and wallow and think that I can never accomplish anything. So take it as a challenge and don't identify with it. So I'm not gonna say, even though I think I said this, but like, don't say my imposter syndrome or this is me or this is just it and all of that. Don't own it up, because it's not you, it's the voice of the devil. Like, when you look in the Bible, the story of like Job is one that really inspires me. Job had everything and then the devil stripped it away, and then he was like, oh my gosh, God, like why this happened to me and all of that. And Job was, you know, in a dark portion of his life, like, oh, what if a Bible character and don't go through whole heap. They really saw, you know, the face of death and stuff like that, and they were still able to overcome with the power of the Lord, and they were still able to inspire many of us. And you know, we a lot of times as Christians or just people overall, we just look at the glory of the story, and we remember saying, I forgot to something rough, like, yeah, Daniel did in the lion den and he overcome. But he was also, I don't believe that the whole time he was there, he was just like, oh my gosh, these lions are not gonna eat me. And probably think at one point, what if they really eat me? You know, like, what if it is, but we're just not trusting my God, you know? And so, you know, I often remember them, and I often remember that, you know, they would have faced these things too, but they didn't let it limit them. They saw it as a challenge, trusted in God, and they overcame it. And so that's a long piece of advice, but that's my advice.
Right. On that note, I want to thank you all for tuning in to Rise and Reflect, Walk Good and Walk with God.